Hi, good morning. Welcome to my channel. My name is Cynthia. I'm here to do a layout for us, and I was kind of feeling, as I woke up this morning and was thinking about doing this layout, I was kind of experiencing a feeling of closing out of old relationships that are either destructive or abusive or not for your highest good, that kind of thing. And not that I always want to focus on that, but that's a reality for a lot of people, especially if you've been consciously working to heal aspects of your life. And if you're kind of a cosmic or esoteric practitioner, you want to use times like the eclipse to your advantage for things like that. And so I think that's partly why it's coming through right now, is that that's in play, not just for people in the collective, but I work on that kind of thing too. And I've had my own dance with that stuff. And so I did what I did in my last reading, which is pull some tiles ahead of time to see if I could kind of hone in on that a little bit. Like what is that looking like for someone in the collective? And the names Jody came out, and the names Liz, for whatever reason. Jody was sort of, I heard in my mind. Liz came out in the actual pulling of tiles. So those names might have meaning for someone, but they don't have to. And then the other words that came out were, I pulled a small handful of tiles, so not that many, but the words job came out, smear, gone, and one other one, I can't remember. I took a picture of it, so maybe I'll post it in the community tab. But in any case, I was able to kind of tune in right away on that someone has been practicing a smear campaign. And I've posted this as well back on the community tab, because once you've encountered a person like that, you start realizing that it's a lot more common than you would have thought. I personally was pretty naive to that. I mean, I wasn't naive to people doing destructive things in a workplace. I've been in a workplace most of my adult life working. But I also, for whatever reason, even though I kept witnessing that kind of shit go down in jobs over and over again, I would have never thought that it would go to that level. Like when people talk about like your enemies being everywhere and smiling at you while stabbing in your back. For me, for a lot of my adult life, I thought that was sort of paranoid thinking. But then once you start learning about things like narcissism, like personality disorders, and this is not to smear personality disorders, because I've served people in my practice, both in clinics and personal, like in my private practice, diagnosable with personality disorders, who are amazing people. So it's not, they get a bad reputation, even in the mental health community, but they're wounds, right? That people build up a kind of defense around them, which can look like that, right? I will say though that narcissism particularly is hard to break through. Most people that have those characteristics or a diagnosable condition don't find their way to getting help and owning that, because it's not a very flattering thing to own about oneself, that you have narcissistic tendencies. And we all do to some degree. We're all self-involved for the most part. People spend more time worrying about their own processes typically than they do other people. But when someone engages in a smear campaign, there's usually something like that on board, that they have a personality disorder of some type, particularly narcissism. And if you get on their shit list, so to speak, they won't hesitate to do something like that. And it can be very insidious. The word is malignant, right? And so that's what was kind of coming through here, was a smear campaign on the job, the word gone. So you may no longer be at the job, and that's been happening unbeknownst to you, or maybe you've picked up on it, or maybe that person's going to be gone from the job. We'll find out. Because a lot of times, eventually, someone doing that gets found out, but not before a lot of damage has been done, either to you and your reputation, or to the culture of the workplace, which may have been at one time friendly and non-competitive, and then suddenly this destructive personality type gets in the mix and targets you, and suddenly there's a problem, right, that unfolds over a period of months or years. And they're very destructive, and this is not paranoia, it's not sowing conflict in these readings, all you have to do is Google psychology, narcissism, smear campaign, job site, workplace. There's all kinds of articles that have been written about this. It's not just tarot readers. Okay, I know that that can seem like that, but it's because these are real lives being impacted. These are real life scenarios, real things that people face in their life. Or you might even find yourself married to a narcissist, right? Or in a long-term relationship with one who manages to isolate you from your community. And that can be by playing both sides and all kinds of stuff. It can look very toxic. And so I'll just share very vaguely. I left a job site a while back where when it started off, I felt really positive about the job site. I really liked my colleagues. I really liked my coworkers. I felt like they were just really kind of on it people, like really smart, really intelligent. I really vibed with them. I was proud to be doing the work I was doing. Well, little by little, I just started picking up on shifts in that. Like people who I once thought were okay with me started like kind of pulling away and distancing themselves and just being a little bit acting weird towards me, suspicious towards me. And I remember thinking, what's this about? But again, because I try not to be so like self-obsessed, I was like, well, it could be any number of things. People have their own shit going on. Not everything's about you. That's the way I spoke to myself about it. Until it kind of culminated in this way where when I left, I had a few friendships that I really wanted to keep. And I assumed because I had been there for years and in a very friendly, warm, great relationship with these people, right? I thought when I went to leave the job and move to a different position, I didn't move away, though I was still living where I live near this community of people. I wrote a message out. I said my goodbyes. It was really heartfelt. And I was like, I would really love to stay in touch. Here's my social media. This is my phone number. And literally the people that I messaged those things to, not one of them responded at all. Like it was just dead silence. Nobody got back to me. Nobody said, we're going to miss you. No one like said, yeah, let's keep in touch. Here's my number too. Or what? I mean, a couple of the people I had their numbers. And so I was trying, making my gestures and my efforts after I left to message these folks personally outside of work. And they never replied. Again, it was the same thing. It was like a freeze out almost. And that's when I really started to clue in. I think somebody's been doing a smear campaign against me and making me look bad in the eyes of others because this was not in play before. I didn't do anything egregious in any of these relationships or workplace to create this kind of it felt like unified. I don't think it was, though. I think that this person who had targeted me for a smear campaign was going around like whispering, like there's that King's Aid in Lord of the Rings. I think it's in Rohan, where he's whispering in this king's ear and it's just toxic, poisonous words. His name is even Worm, I think, right? And part of breaking that was like breaking a spell, and the king is kind of restored to health. And I'm not trying to compare myself to a king or whatever, but it was like that. It was like this person was planting little seeds of like, this person isn't as cool as you think, or she tries to act like this, but really this is what's going on under the surface. And because this person could kind of come across well, as educated and attractive and whatever, I think a lot of people felt like, well, why would she make something like this up? But instead of giving me the benefit of the doubt, they gave her the benefit of the doubt, right? And so even though I had already established my friendships with these people, they started treating me with suspicion. And that's classic smear campaign, right? A lot of this, I will just say, is intuitive. And so that might be your situation as well. And you're having trouble trusting yourself or wondering like what's going on. But the words that came through were clear. Like someone could get on here and say, she just pulled those tiles and made that up, but they're randomly loose associated words. I didn't just pull like, you are a victim, right? It was like smear, job, gone. So I remember really having to grieve that, honestly. I was really sad. There were some people there that I really truly cared about and liked a lot. Oh, that's a little flicker. I was hoping he might sound while we were rolling here. He's trying to find his mate, and he's using my roof, and like he's a flicker is a type of woodpecker, right? And so he's using my roof as a noisemaker to attract a mate. I personally love it. I know sometimes people don't like that, but I like it. And a woodpecker has been a really big part of my animal kind of relationship since I was very little. I've grown up having woodpeckers live in very close proximity, including in our attic when I was growing up. And my dad couldn't stand them, but I loved them. And if you go by that house to this day, they have to have netting up around where the woodpeckers get into the attic, because once they've nested somewhere, they remember it, right? And they keep going back. So anyways, I love hearing that little flicker up there. Hopefully he's not too wild the whole time, because it'll be a little much, but I love to hear his sound in my home. It makes me feel good. So yeah, I kind of lost where I was going. Oh, just that if your intuition is picking up on something like this, there's likely something to it. Our intuition is real. It's not some made up woman hysteria. Men are intuitive as well. Intuition isn't always a valued trait in the West, especially in the United States. But if you're in business, having a gut instinct for intuition, most business people know that that's a good thing to have on board, right? And I instinctually was picking up on that, and most of it is intuitive. I do have a little bit of evidence, but most of it has been intuitive. And so I'm just here to do this reading for you because you might need this kind of confirmation, is what it's seeming like, what it's coming through as, is that, yeah, this kind of thing can happen, and it can really cause damage, not just to you, but to the rest of the work culture, right? Sowing that kind of suspicion and pitting people against each other. And part of what made me really sad was that what it felt like to me on my end over time is that those people chose to believe her over me, right? They chose to go blind to the integrity that I was showing in that job and the good nature that I was trying to bring to the job. They forgot. It's like they forgot about all that, right? And they just decided this person must have a reason. This person must be telling the truth. Why would she lie? And so they all sort of fell into it and believed this person's smear campaign. And I sometimes wonder, because I'm gone from that job many years out now, it's been away a while back, and I think that person still works there, and I sometimes wonder, like, I wonder if and when that will ever come to light. Not even necessarily my situation, but just that behavior in general, because it's not only me, I'm sure. There's been other ways that person may have been destructive at that place. So we're talking about a smear campaign and karmic relationships. Thank you for being here. You might have picked up, I'm also a clinical social worker, so this is something that I know something about, right? I've had people with narcissistic personality disorder in my client base, although it's rare, and I don't do well, honestly. They're a little activating for me, which if you're gonna serve people diagnosed with that, you really should have a core that can deal with and not be easily activated by their behavior, and that's not me, and I have to own that and recognize, like, I would really need to build up some parts of my ego and self in order to be able to work with someone with that cluster of personality symptoms and not be so activated. One of the times that I worked with a woman in the past, it was so activating that I really had to keep going to my boss and saying, I just don't think it's good for either of us, because I can't help but react and be reactive, and then they're kind of controlling the session basically, right? Which doesn't help them either. So anyways, I just want to emphasize that people aren't just bad. That narcissism is something that protects the ego from things that they experienced in childhood, where maybe they were shamed or not valued or not built up in their community and in their upbringing, right? And so they develop this kind of really fragile, false type of ego and mask that they present to the world to protect the shame, right? And the inner wound. So you can have compassion for that, or at least I can, but I also have to do it from a distance, right? I can't be in direct service because it's too activating for me. I had a narcissistic step-parent, and I have narcissism in my family to some degree as well. It's more common than you would think. Maybe not anymore, because it's all over YouTube and the internet. It's a hot topic of conversation anymore. What do you need to know about this smear campaign at the work site? What do you need to know about this? Let's have the cards tell us what is going to be. Maybe tell us the story, and then what to do for you. I think this flicker is definitely finding its mate, because I can hear another flicker singing at a farther away distance. So I think they're communicating with one another, which is kind of cool. The Tower at the split. So something's going down. Shit's going down in this smear campaign on the job site. Okay, let's just get into it. So there's been some wounding. This has been hurtful in your heart center. And it's kind of speaks to what I was saying about, I was really hurt. I was genuinely hurt at what felt like everybody kind of bailed on me and just assumed what this person was saying about me was true. And I don't know what it could have been, but it really did damage, because it cost me literally every single relationship from that place, just about. And there was one exception to that, but then it almost seems like they even reached that person that I was friends with after I left, the one person that I kind of was able to maintain with. At some point, if I'm just being honest, it felt like it even infiltrated that friendship, although not in a different way, because I was no longer working there, right? This is some copal and acacia for privacy of our boundaries and relationships, and also to cleanse. I love the smoke that the copal creates, especially. Nice cleansing smoke. So there's some hurt here. This process of the smear campaign has hurt you, and you would have to be a machine to not be emotionally impacted by somebody carrying out and smearing your name, right? It doesn't feel good, because you can really fall into just competing with that person and fighting to defend yourself so much that you look crazy. I remember when I started recognizing I need to distance myself from that person, I think that might have partly been when she started the smear campaign against me, was when I started to pull away, because I didn't vibe with them. I didn't feel good in their energy. And I think that was my intuition again, saying this person isn't a safe friendship for you. They feel not safe in some way, like maybe not having a center or a core. Or I remember I kind of kept feeling like they were adopting attributes of me, but not in a way that felt like a theft of me. Like they were trying to become me in this strange way, which again, a lot of this is intuitive. So if you've been feeling something like this can be like a confirmation for you. And I was hurt and disappointed when people started pulling away, to the point that I felt literally froze out. Like not one person responded to me, even to say bye, or it was just nothing. It was like total silence, right? It hurt. So you're feeling in a need to defend yourself with this Four of Pentacles. You're feeling like, I'm not really sure who I can trust here, or who may have been influenced by the smear campaign. I need to kind of shore up and have really tight boundaries around me, because this has really hurt. It's been hurtful. I don't want it to continue. I want it to come to an end. So I'm going to protect and shield myself with this in some very real way. Like you may be not, like in terms of the friendship that I felt like even later after the fact kind of got impacted, I started to cut cords with that person too. Even though there wasn't a big discussion about it, I just started to pull away, because something really shifted for me in the energy of that friendship. And I've had to really do a lot of inner work about that. Like, was that hurtful the way that I did it? Maybe that person got hurt. I don't know, but there's never been a discussion. And that person was already, moving away from our friendship because they had gotten into a relationship, and that just kind of naturally happens, right? You get into hanging out more with your partner. So the cord cutting didn't change a lot in either one of our lives, really. You're tired from this. I'm pretty sure this is the Nine of Wands. The Eight of Wands. There's communication coming in about it. And that flicker strikes me as like, hey, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. There's going to be communication coming in about this whole thing if there hasn't been already. someone may be coming to you finally and being like, I don't know if you were aware of this, but so-and-so's been saying this about you. I really wish something like that would have happened. I wish some of these folks would have come to me and been like, gosh, you know, so-and-so mentioned this, and, you know, but people often are like, well, I don't want to get in the middle, or I'll just, you know, whatever. People have their own process of how they want to deal with that. But there is going to be some communication about some work or some projects or some creative work that you were doing. I remember in this relationship, I was maybe going to be collaborating with this person at one point. And then as I started to feel uneasy about the energy between us and about I just don't think we're going to be a good working team. That's uncomfortable. Nobody ever likes to, you know, we had already kind of started down the road a little bit of collaborating, and then I backed out. And I don't think that sat well with that person. I didn't do anything negative about it. I just said, you know, maybe, you know, on further evaluation, there might be a multitude of reasons we shouldn't actually do this project. And this is what this is reminding me of, that you might have been in a collaborative relationship with this person creatively. Like, you might have been making music together. You might have been in a band together. You might have been making visual art together, right? It could be anything like that, where you're working in close proximity to someone on a job, and there's communication coming in about the fact that this smear campaign has happened and it's been very hurtful, and you feel like you really need to, a turtle going into its shell just came to mind in my mind's eye, where it may have really hurt to the point that you've totally retreated within. That's totally what happened with me. Like, part of me is like, oh my God, am I doing my own reading? I don't think so, because this is very common. Okay, it's not, it's just something that I relate to. Your vulnerability here is the Nine of Swords. You're in your worries a lot about it. And I remember that too, being like, you know, am I just crazy here? Like, what's going on? Like, you may have at one time really enjoyed this project, and then now that it's kind of been poisoned with this smearing of you and your reputation, it's really got you in your head. You're in a lot of self-doubt. You're in a lot of like, well, how did I contribute to it? Did I cause this? Right? It's those kinds of thoughts. Like, do I need to apologize to that person? Sometimes a vulnerable narcissist type presentation, they'll really get in your mind like that. Like, you're the one to blame. You let them down. You're disappointing them. You're treating them unfairly. And it can be very effective to where you don't trust your own reality anymore. You're being fed reality from them, and it's a distorted version based on their need to keep up their persona, right? Of vulnerability and woundedness, and I need to be, you know, protected from you, and you're being bad to me, and, you know, they may have really perceived that, but that's part of the presentation, right? And it's got you worried, and you're like, I don't know what to think about this. Like, I don't know what to feel. Is everybody against me now? Like, do I need to make an apology? Is that going to be what's better for the group here at work? Is for me to go and apologize to this person? But it might be making you feel really, like, just icky. That kind of really off-put feeling is one of your biggest cues that something is not right. You can trust that. But a narcissist will try to make that seem like paranoia instead of your actual true gut instinct that things are not right here, that your boundaries are being violated, that someone may be treating you badly, gaslighting you, right? Stuff like that. So it's important to know. We're going to keep burning some of this to keep this energy cleansed. We want to protect ourselves from stuff like this, right? Cutting cords is a great way. You don't have to, like, go balls out about, like, I'm kicking you out of my life, but just personally cutting cords, like, from within your turtle shell, right? Just saying, I'm cutting cords with this whole experience. I'm cutting cords with people that don't believe in me or that chose to believe this smear campaign, right? Without even coming to me about it. They just decided to write me off. That hurts. It's hurtful. And it's okay to cut cords. It's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to walk away. I'm so glad I'm not in that job anymore. I'm so glad. I mean, I can't even overstate that, how glad I am to be away and basically shielded from it. This comes to the very heart of your security with this Ten of Pentacles. It feels like it struck right to the heart of your feeling of stability, your abundance, your material security. We're speaking about a job. Job came through. Although you could also, it's funny that just came through, you might be feeling like Job, okay? And I know that's very dramatic, but it's true. If you're feeling like it's coming at you from all sides and your coworkers don't trust you anymore, this person's really sowing a lot of doubt about you and making people think that you're acting in a bad way, a bad actor at work, you can start to feel persecuted like that, like Job, okay? And I don't think Job was the original, it was Job. I think this is going on, but Job can be a symbol of that. It's very dramatic, but it is one, right? And then your strength position here is the Seven of Pentacles. You are totally able to rebuild, and you're willing, and you may already be doing that. You may already be in the process of like, where do I need to plant seeds now for something different? Maybe I need to walk away from this. The Eight of Cups isn't here, but you're thinking about, I need to maybe move on. I need to plant seeds somewhere else and look for a harvest in a different place than in this project, possibly. It may also indicate that you've been a good actor at work, and eventually that's going to shine through. You might be going through the thick of it right now where people are kind of buying into what this person's saying, but that it's all going to come out in the wash and you'll be vindicated because of the good seeds you planted. And that's what I privately hoped for. I was like, well, I hope eventually it'll come out and people will maybe clue in that they should have given me the benefit of the doubt, right? I mean, I've already way moved on. For me, that whole thing is just over. I'm not interested in looking back or trying to reconnect with anybody. They may not be either, right? The shadow aspect of yourself is being very activated by the fact that you can't get a sense of what's real and what's not right here. And it's really got your shadow tripping out. I'm just going to say that. You might be like this Nine of Swords. You might be seeing betrayal where there isn't because this person has been a master manipulator. And so it's gotten you to be paranoid, like you want to just go into your own shell and you don't know who you can trust anymore. And it's really triggering your shadow. You might really feel like, God, who can you trust in this world? Right? Or like, you just can't trust anyone out there. And it can really play with your emotions. This has got you in some really deep, conflicted, emotional, watery places, like the darker side of the water element. Dark waters, like where nothing seems clear. Everything may feel ominous, okay? And these folks are good at that. If it's somebody that's going to effectively carry out a smear campaign against you, you can trust that they're very good at sowing seeds of doubt, discord, poison, right? Like that worm character again, right? It's really got you concerned. In your conscious mind is a King of Pentacles. So this could be, it's kind of striking me as another player. Like you may be this King of Pentacles and you're moving on and trying to just trust in what you are generating for yourself, but it could also be another player in the equation that might be in some type of position of authority here, like your boss, and they're in the process of evaluating this or evaluating your performance. It could even be like, you know, they might be saying to you in your performance evaluation, you know, what's happening with these conflicts you're having at work, and you're like, what do you mean conflicts? I'm not in you know, right? But it's because this person's been speaking badly or going to the boss about you for some reason, right? It could be something like that. We'll pull some clarifiers. Where things are headed is a calmer place. Oh no, sorry, it's the Five of Pentacles. It's a place where you're getting worried that you're going to be never vindicated, right? Or that you're going to be cast out or possibly fired or kicked out of the band or kicked out of this creative project through no fault of your own because this has been a successful endeavor, right? And that maybe this authority figure is going to determine that you need to go, you need to be put on leave, you need to be demoted, you need to be transferred. It's a fear that you're having, that this has been an effective smear campaign against you. And I just have to say, like, something that happens like that, this came through in a lot of articles back when I was reading about this, I wanted to know, like, what are the symptoms? How might you be tipped off that someone's doing this? And I had all of the symptoms. So that's another reason why I was pretty sure a lot of the things that they were saying are cues that someone might be doing that were all in play for me. And so if you end up being able to gather evidence, this is something that you can file a civil suit about. Like if it really harms your professional or creative reputation, right? That's in play. And that might be something to do with this decision maker as well. So what I'm going to do here is pull some Lenormand. And if we wanted to, we could really get serious and do a grand tableau about this. But I think that's going to be too much clearing away, laying out of cards. It's going to take too long. So I'm just going to pull a bunch of these Lenormand to see if it'll tell us the story for you. What was this about? This work project or creative project? How is it impacting things? What was the smear campaign? What happened here? Please and thank you. So things are headed towards a meeting, which is this Eight of Wands. You're about to find something out about what has unfolded here. You may not really have a lot of the picture right now. It has to do with money and work, like we talked about, and it came through in the tiles in the beginning. This king, whether this is you or another party in the equation, is really deeply thinking about this whole thing from a very sorrowful place. So this could be you, and I think it might be you. You may be starting to realize that someone's really been harming your reputation, and maybe you've known for a while, or maybe this is just starting to come to light. It's also having to do, it's very close to you. Like, not only is it about work, it's about home. So it could be that your work community is like family, or you could literally work with your family. This might be a family business, and you have a narcissistic sibling that's been undermining you to the customers, or to, you know, that kind of is coming through for someone. Like, they might be speaking in a way that makes customers less confident with you and want to work more with them. And then that looks bad to your supervisor, right? The supervisor's coming to you like, what's up with your performance lately? Why are you losing all these sales? Your clients are going over to so-and-so, right? So it could look something like that. This really has you worried and sorrowful. What's important to know is that there's going to be a determination here, or a decision making that's actually going to be successful. And it's information that you're going to be finding out. Like, maybe you're going to be finding out some hard evidence. Maybe there's a show called Selling Sunset. And in the first couple seasons, there was a really narcissistic agent on that team. Very narcissistic. And she was the epitome of this kind of thing. Playing people against each other, sowing seeds of doubt, trying to get other people on her team and away from the other person. She targeted one person in particular, but then if anyone would show sympathy to that person, then she targeted them too. And she was pretty powerful on the team. Very destructive. She caused a lot of destruction in those work relationships and in that work setting. And what it finally came down to, when everybody was like, she needs to just go, she can't be here anymore, she's causing too much toxicity and drama, a client, one of the real estate clients, went to one of the other agents and said, hey, you should know that Christine just came to me and offered me thousands of dollars to abandon you as my agent and go to her. And that came out, and then the owners of the brokerage fired Christine, basically, or fired her, but said, you can't work here anymore. This is what this is striking me as, is that just in the nick of time, when you're like, man, this is really going to take me under. Like, I'm going to have to move on. I don't want to work in this kind of environment anymore. I don't want to work alongside these people that don't have any faith in me, that keep standing up for this person that I know is toxic, but nobody else seems to be able to see it. Something is going to happen where there's going to be information here through some kind of a higher decision-making process. And it's like it's going to clear your name. And you're about to be finding out this information, or you may already be finding it out. But I don't think so. I don't think you know that yet. But what this is saying is that you're going to be vindicated It's going to come to light in a way that's successful for you. So this Five of Pentacles might end up meaning that the other person winds up on the outside and is no longer able to work in this project anymore. And right now you are fearing that it's going to be you that's going to have to go and have your reputation tarnished or harmed, maybe permanently. You're really in a lot of deep worry about this. And you're striking me as being in masculine energy. And that doesn't have to be literal. It's just you may operate more as a masculine energy in the world, right? So I'm sorry this is happening. I know how stressful it is. Like, I would literally feel sick over it. Like, God, I'm so sad, and it just feels really invasive and toxic. It's like the oozing toxicity of this type of, it feels very calculated, right? And Christine, that agent on Selling Sunset, was very toxic and very calculated, and it played out over several years. Right? Where it was just very, like, watching from the outside, you're like, she is so scheming. But from the inside, she could be really charming and funny and engaging. And so people wanted to be aligned with her, and they didn't want to think that there was this kind of thing in play, but there was. And it got really bad to where it was starting to make the brokerage look bad, because she was going to clients and scheming with clients, and the clients were like, hey, this is a warning sign. I'm going to let these other agents know that this is going on, because ultimately it could really harm the brokerage, right? So it's something like that is what's going to happen here with this Eight of Wands. What else should you know about this? Oh, here's a, you can trust this. This was an outlier card that was wrong way out. You can trust that this is going to be over, and you're going to not be the one on the outside, which is probably very welcome news. I hope it is anyways, because this kind of thing is super stressful. It's stressful to have your character called into question and people saying such awful things about you, or even when you suspect it, but you don't have anything to hang your hat on, right? That's the situation I was in. Stand firm in your center and your truth. I can even feel my shoulders climbing up again. And that was coming through in another reading. So you might be a regular watcher of these readings, or else I just have been tapped into energy like this for a while through the eclipse. Relationships that just keep you tense and on guard all the time, and like you have to protect yourself. Ideally, you don't want to live like that, right? You want to be moving away from relationships that drain you and make you feel anxious and fearful and unsupported, and like you're always wrong and you're always having to apologize. And you want to be moving your life in a direction of having relationships around you that make you feel invigorated and zest. They call it in relational cultural theory, which is what I practice from. Feel invigorated and zest and warmth and regard, and not competitive, not someone feeling threatened by your good creative ideas, right? Ultimately, those things benefit the whole group. But people that have insecurities that are unhealed can go there and then make it everyone else's problem, right? So stand firm in your center and your truth. You're allowed to shine. You don't need to take on, and if you have to, you can always walk away like I did. That's not 100% why I left, but it was impacting me for sure. I left for other reasons, but I'm so glad now, right? I'm so glad I'm not having to deal with that sick feeling and anxiety day in and day out, working with that person. Profound love and respect is the driving force here. And this strikes me as that Strength Seven of Pentacles card. You sowed a lot of good seeds in this project and in this endeavor. You are someone who's ethical. You're a King of Pentacles. You know that when you're in your right mind, but this has really got you off center and feeling worried. And maybe it's because you're such an ethical person that you are always checking yourself. And so you're thinking, God, did I really fuck with this person and I just didn't see it? Like, that's where it can take you. But the truth is that you have been a good, you've been a good contributor here. You're someone who brings goodness to the work that you do, right? You're not a competitive, manipulative player in these kinds of settings, right? But that might be what threatens this other person, somebody that gets regard, because I suspect that was part of what threatened the person in my case was I started off having a lot of regard, and it was earned regard because I've been in my field for a long time and I know what I'm doing in my field, and I have a natural talent for the work that I do. And so this person felt threatened by that. It didn't matter that they were way earlier in their career and they could build that over time as well, like I had. It's like they wanted it now. They were envious of the regard that I had. They wanted the people that liked me to like them like they liked me. And so the way that they decided to go about that, instead of just focusing on their own growth, was to try to take me down, you know? And it's just sad, but true. Be wise as the serpent and gentle as the dove. So hopefully this will also be like a learning process for you. Maybe not to be as trusting in the future. Like, just cleansing some of this out here. You might need to have tighter boundaries and tighten up ship, right? At some point in a circumstance like this. Tighter boundaries with this acacia. More privacy. You know, I mean, if you're at work, what can you do? You don't want to hide your light, but you know, you might not be such an open book, or have a little bit more, you know, this is my work life and I'm not going to be so invested in these relationships. Maybe, I don't know what that would look like for you. Let's pull some cards about where this is headed and advice. Like, what should you do? What should you do about this at this point? Some of it is headed in a positive direction. Just hang on. Some of this is coming out. We had that tower at the bottom of the deck. So it's their tower is kind of what I'm picking up. That you might be about to face some vindication where it's going to be coming out what this person is doing. What's some advice for you right now? Yeah. Try to relax your shoulders. That's my advice to you, right? Maybe go get a massage. God, these cards, I have a hard time shuffling them. Smudge, right? Smudge that energy away from you and out of your energetic body. So we have dance, wonder of the world, and trap, all in the reverse. This is from Get Out. King Kong, and I don't remember what dance is. I think it's a movie I've never seen. Suspiria, maybe, or something. But let's find out what these advice cards are saying. For all its startling beauty, dance practiced at the highest level can be uncompromisingly brutal, an assault on the bodies and minds of the dancers delivered by teachers who are akin to a coven of sadists. So that you might really be feeling like, God, is there anyone I can trust at this place or in this project? It's a fallacy that art must come from suffering. Boom. You can't even make that up. I mean, this was a creative work for you. You don't have to suffer through an environment like this at all. It's not for you, right? If a pursuit does prove difficult in the extreme, look for a lesson in the difficulty itself. Let your own creative impulses color your activities. So just stand in your own center. You know that you do good creative work, regardless of what, and you knew that before you encountered this person who was so toxic, right? Just reconnect with that. That's great advice. Wonder of the world in the reverse. King Kong. Focus on what makes you special. Everyone has unique qualities and you do too. Proclaim your individuality. Shout it from the rooftops. Show the world that what only you can do. While attracting attention may lead to misunderstanding and others trying to take you down, fucking A. Bravery can bring admiration and even spark wonder. Overconfidence can bring a tragic ending. So you've got to be brave and solid, but you can't be going to the extremes that this person did. Like having an inflated, protective mask-like ego, that they were overconfident in thinking that they could take you down, right? Now they're going to have a tower. So don't you make the same mistake and gloat once this person is, when it's coming to light. You can maintain your ethical, creative center, but don't be tempted to be gloating and, you know, shooting your mouth off about it too much. You need to maintain your dignity, I guess, is kind of what I'm feeling about it, which is great advice, right? Because it's going to be hard not to gloat. Like, I remember, because I would like for this person to be exposed for what they did to me, if I'm just being honest. And I remember thinking about that, though, like, well, what am I going to do if and when? Like, probably what I'm going to do is just maintain my dignity and maintain my distance, because I've already moved on and there's no reason for me to get re-embroiled with these people again, especially people that didn't really believe in me. Being vindicated is enough. Like, I don't need to be all, yeah, take that, bitch, you know, whatever. That doesn't make you look very good, right? And then trap in the reverse. Get Out is a really good movie. Reluctance to disturb social norms in unfamiliar situations can lead to peril. It can be awkward to remove yourself from circumstances that feel wrong, and it's easy to doubt your own judgment. God damn, this is so perfect. It feels right to give people the benefit of the doubt, and exhausting to do otherwise. But others may be counting on your sense of propriety, waiting to sink you into the depths of their own schemes. That's so much what this person really underestimated me, and underestimated me that I wouldn't just hesitate to just walk away and disengage totally from it. I'm not going to compete with her. I'm not going to try to convince other people or ask other people or be, you know, I'm just going to cut ties and walk away. As sad and as hard as it is, I'm strong. I can do that, right? They really underestimated me. In the reverse, trust your instincts. You know when something is wrong. This is real. This has really been happening to you. In other words, you're not crazy. You're not being hateful towards this person that's been doing a smear campaign against you. It's been a hard lesson. It was a hard lesson for me too, not to be so naive, because like I said at the beginning of the reading, I used to think that kind of thinking was paranoid. Now I see how wrong I was. This shit goes down and happens in workplaces, especially competitive workplaces, or in cultures that are really competitive maybe as well. Anything else? I was maybe going to do some scrying, but I think instead I'm going to pull some tiles. I was going to crystal ball gaze, and maybe I still will, but right now I'm feeling drawn to pulling tiles. Any final thoughts on this from these tiles here? Or maybe names for confirmation. I see stage right here, so this might be performing arts. We're talking about the arts. This might be in a production of a play, or you might be in a band with this person. Hates. Somebody was hating your shine, right? That's so sad. Fan. Yes, this is performance related to some degree. Someone might be getting the axe here, like getting fired, right? Black is here, and Get Out came through, and I had, when Get Out first came out, I started wondering if someone in this collective might be being targeted by a racist person as well, right? Or racism may be in play in this performance art and to some degree. That came through in the last reading when we were talking about ballet. And some performance art things get really highly competitive, right? So you might have been targeted racially, and I'm very sorry if that's the case. And that's definitely actionable, right? Like if you have a stomach for bringing legal action against someone, although diversity, equity, and inclusion is at risk right now. So that's part of it, right? Which is sad. Hate, anti-Black racism might be in play here. Doña, which is a Doña is a title of respect in Spanish for a woman. So that might mean something to someone here. Donna. Donna might be in play here. Someone named Donna. Stan. So this strikes me as Stan the song, right? Like that fan of Eminem's that was really dangerous, like stalker level fan. This could be somebody like that. Like a kind of single white female energy where this person might have also coveted your nature and your energy and tried to embody it at the same time that they were trying to drive you out. That's, again, could be in play in a creative circle, right? Like imitating your creative ideas, stealing credit for your ideas. That happens in workplaces all the time, especially to women. You came through as masculine, and this really resonates with that Stan song, right? That was between two men, the lyrics of that song. Code. Someone might work in coding and gaming. That's coming through in tech. DNA. Interesting. I don't know what DNA has to do with anything, but DNA and code. DNA code. Okay. Someone might be really wanting to be you. I don't know. It's wild, but true. Fantasy. Fantasy is here. Tana. Oops. Tana is a name. Stacy. Sneha is an Indian name. Sneha. Fat is here. I'm just going to say it. Someone might have been fat shamed in this equation. Age. And there was a different tenor to that. Age. One might have meaning. For some reason, when we were talking about coding, OneDrive just came in. Something might have come through via an accidental shared document via OneDrive. Shown. Shonda. Doge. Okay, so Doge is having a horrible impact on DIE, or DEI, I mean. Doge might be in play, especially if you're a federal employee. Okay. Sheena. Staff. Saturday might have meaning. Henna. Oh my God, that's funny on a personal level. I'll just leave it there. Henna. There's a message in there for me. I can't help but laugh. Oh my God. Henna. Chat. Some chats might have been sent to the wrong person at work, right? Like on Teams or something, your chat with someone might have come to light with a higher up, like a supervisor. I'm sorry, I keep laughing at that, Henna, that came through. Taste. Yeah, this again speaks to me about that trying to embody you and your taste, right? As fuck. This has been crazy as fuck, right? Star. Oh no, there's no R. But I have a blank one. Star. And shone. Someone didn't like your shining star, right? Someone wants you to exit. Or someone may be exiting. They may be getting their ass kicked right out of this job. I hope this is uplifting to you, because really, this is coming to light, okay? That's partly why I'm laughing, is because I'm feeling the relief of the fact that this is coming to light. So maybe at some point you're going to be able to laugh at this from a little bit of a distance. Like, dude, the levels that this person went, okay? It's a little much. It's a little much is what I'm picking up. It's extra. It's extra as fuck. This person did the most. It was extra as fuck, okay? Oh my God. This is funny. They're going to be blasted right out of there. Blast, okay? Anna could be significant. Anna. Someone's going to be gone from this equation, whether it's you or them. It's coming to an end. And gone came through. That's what it was. Oh no, there was another word that had come through originally that I couldn't figure out, but gone was part of it. So someone's going to be gone. This person was someone's stan, but it went way too far, right, into toxic levels. Okay, I think that's all for the tiles. I am gonna, what the hell? I'll go ahead and see if I see anything in this before we end. I'm seeing a really beautiful embroidery jacket. So someone might have really good taste, and that came through. That you might have started feeling like your taste was being emulated with your clothing styles, right? And if you're in a creative environment, that's a real problem, right? It's annoying if you're not, but if you're in a creative workplace, that's a real problem if someone's stealing your creative work, right? Or your creative, especially if you're like in fashion or something, right? Yeah, now I'm seeing someone holding up a poster board, like a presentation board. So they may have been competing with you around presenting your work in some way, or stealing your ideas. It might have been really blatant even at points, right? Someone wears a gold chain. I'm seeing someone with a gold chain. Gosh, this is wild. This is kind of a variation on a dream I had with this person. In the last reading I posted, this person came through in the dream space. It was a person with a mullet, a dyed blonde mullet, kind of like Dog the Bounty Hunter, but not entirely. It was somewhat different. They're here again, so that other reading might have relevance for you too. Someone was spying, that person in that dream, the person with the mullet was spying on me. So this might be someone that's in play in this equation, and you feel like they've been spying on you to take your work, right? Take your creative ideas, get dirt on you, figure out ways to smear you. Maybe they're a stan, right? So they're a stalker, and that's why they're spying, okay? I'm seeing Jeannie, like from that old show, which was pretty sexist, but kind of funny. Barbara Eden was good in it for what it's worth. It's an old show where she's a genie, and her master, gross, is this Air Force military guy. So that story might have meaning to someone. I Dream of Jeannie is the name of the show. But Jinn, genie is Jinn. Jinn magic might be in play here for someone, or that has resonance for someone. Now I'm seeing like a cross, like an old stone cross in a cemetery, which means to me that this is coming to an end. This situation is winding down. I'm also seeing the Batman signal, so that's got relevance to someone. Someone might like Batman or be into, comics in that way. Yeah, and a phoenix. You're going to make it through this, okay? So I don't mean to laugh at how stressful it's been, but you got to find the humor in it. Yeah. Something about rice. I don't know. Rice is coming through. Yeah, now that person with the mullet, I'm seeing somebody with them. So someone was on their side, or I don't know who that person is in this equation at all, but it's like two people. He's with somebody who's a feminine energy, and it's honestly, again, it's not them, but it's like Dog and his wife, because Dog the Bounty Hunter's wife had that really bleached platinum blonde hair also, and so does this feminine. So they're gonna have resonance for someone here, so I'll just say it. That might have been one of his allies, okay? Someone that was on his side in the equation. The song's been coming through a lot lately for me. It's by George Clinton, and it might be P-Funk or Parliament, but Do Fries Go Without Shake? It's a great song. It's really a great song. And this is a creative process for a lot of people. So somebody in here might be a fan of George Clinton, or there's meaning particularly to that song about this situation. I'm not sure how or why, but it's here. Okay, and I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and close this reading. Thank you for being here. It's almost over. The Tower card was there. So this is coming to light with this Ace of Wands or Eight of Wands. So just hang on. You're going to have some vindication, and then what you decide to do with that is kind of up to you. So I'll see you next time, and I hope you enjoyed, and thanks again.